everybody. So Adventure Zach here. So this is going to be the 10,000 mile review for you guys. This part of the video is going to be the section where I discuss the cons and the pros, what I like, what I dislike, what I love, what I hate. The ride section is going to be directly after this. So I figured I'd go ahead and do this portion of the video with the likes and the dislikes, and then we'll get to the ride section of the video. And there's going to also be some recaps of some of the things that I have on the bike, like, dislike, things like that. Stay tuned. Hopefully you guys like it. All right, so we're going to get into the first things first here for you guys. We'll start off with the dislikes and hates of the bike. And I'm going to start off with the number one thing that everybody talks about when it comes to the 250L. That's going to be the weight. So the raw weight of the bike to me is not actually heavy as far as moving the bike around. The weight of the 250L is a pretty big disadvantage when you ride the bike in the way that I ride the bike. Okay, it's not impossible to do the things that I do. It's not impossible to take the 250L in any terrain, ride it any way you please. But the weight is kind of bothersome sometimes because of the muddy terrain that I always have here. 90% of the time, my terrain is super muddy. And the weight does not help when you're riding and the bike's going like this the whole time. The bike with its weight, that's a problem in the sense, but it's not, it's not a deal breaker. Shouldn't be a deal breaker at all with the bike. The other downfall because of the weight. Now, I know that I don't have my bark busters on the bike right this second. That is 100% my fault. So anything that happens to my levers as of right now without my bark busters on, I take full responsibility of and saying it's not the bike's fault. It's my fault for being an idiot and not putting bark busters back on, but that's a whole different thing. But with the weight of the bike, I've dropped the bike a handful of times now since I've had the bark busters off, and as soon as you drop it, you bend the living crap out of your levers. That would happen with pretty much any bike, to be honest with you. But bending the bars, though, with the weight of the bike, bends the bars pretty easily. That's a problem in itself, because most bikes, if you drop and they're 200 pounds, a little over 200 pounds, whatever, they don't bend the bars so easily. So that's another problem with the weight. But again, it's not. I just want to address those. The heavier the weight is when it's falling over, it's going to cause more damage to things on the bike. When you've got a 200-pound bike and it's falling over, it's 200 pounds hitting the ground, it's going to cause less damage. When you've got a 300-plus pound bike falling over, it's going to fall over and it's going to do more damage than the 200-pound bike is. It's just the way it works. So that's the biggest disadvantage I would say about the 250L. And it's funny because some of you may say, well, what about the power? What about the torque? That is not in my disadvantages. That is not in my dislikes or hates, because I think the 250L has amazing power. I think it has amazing torque for what it is, for what it has to offer. So it's not going to be like a 350 two-stroke. Hell, it's not going to be like a 125 two-stroke. But if you don't go in the bike and you're not expecting that as the power, then what it gives you and how it performs, I think it performs phenomenally. I think it's great. Could it have more power? Could it have more torque? Absolutely. But I would honestly prefer to see Honda release the 250L at around the 270-pound mark with the same amount of power and torque than I would like to see them release it at the same weight, but with, say, 30 horsepower and 24, 25 foot-pounds of torque. I'd rather have the bike 270 pounds, same exact specs it has right now, than to have more power and torque but the same weight. That's just me, though. That's the biggest disadvantage of the 250L. I mean, the weight of the bike is really the only con that I have to it, because the torque and power, some may say that that's a con. It's not really a con to me. I think my 250L runs absolutely amazing. That's it, man. That's all I've got for dislikes and hates of the bike. I don't dislike the price. I don't dislike the power. I don't dislike the feel of the bike. I will say one thing, and I kind of forgot about this. The factory suspension on the 250L is not horrible, but it's not great. I haven't ridden on a stock 250L suspension in a very long time. Okay, so that's how I kind of forgot about that one. But if you're not riding like I do, you don't plan on jumping the bike, you could totally get away with the OEM suspension. Should you upgrade it? Depends on your riding. So I'm not going to tell you, yes, you should upgrade it. I upgraded mine. Absolutely love it. Totally different bike. With that said, though, I do a lot of stuff. I jump the bike. I ride it through very rocky terrain. I do a lot of gnarly hill climbs, things like that. I don't just ride it on fire roads. So upgrading the suspension on my bike was kind of a must, and I've benefited from it a lot, you know, a super large amount I've benefited from it. But that's really the only other thing that I would say, and it's funny because I just told you guys if I come up with another one, which I did, look at that, hey. But it's been so long since I've ridden with the stock suspension again, so I totally forgot about that. Factory seat is garbage. Aren't all bikes? Get yourself an aftermarket seat. All right, so on to the likes of the bike. It's a pretty big list comparing it to the dislikes of the bike. Now, the likes of the bike are the fact that it is an absolute tank. The thing is just a reliable beast. You can beat the snot out of it and it will just keep on chugging along. I beat the living snot out of mine. I maintain it though. I take good care of it, but I do beat the living hell out of it. And it is just a monster when it comes to the reliability section. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insight on the maintenance of the 250L. Okay, so I have literally done absolutely nothing to my 250L as far as maintenance goes, other than your normal air filter, oil, and oil filter changes, okay? There has been nothing else that has been needed to be done to my 250L as far as the motor, transmission, whatever. I did replace the chain with a gold chain. It wasn't because the OEM chain was like destroyed or anything like that. I just did it mainly because I wanted the aesthetics of the gold chain. Plus, I think I changed the chain around 8,000 miles, and I just figured, hey, I want a new chain anyways, a gold chain for the gold look, and why not change it, you know? But the OEM chain was still in spec. Love the fact that the 250L has, I believe it is 16,000 mile spec intervals for the valves. Now, I'm gonna check mine probably around 12,000 just to see if they're still in spec, because I do most of my riding off-road. I am going to do it that way, but I could almost guarantee you, even if I went to 16,000, I bet you they're so minimally off, if not off at all. So it wouldn't surprise me. That is just to check the spec of them, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be way out of spec or out of spec at all, just to verify that they're still within spec, so everything's operating properly. So I do love the absolute fact that I can hop on that bike and I can ride the living snot out of it, and I have no worries in the world as far as the bike goes. I never worry about it breaking down. I never have a worry about something internally on it breaking, anything like that. I don't ever have any fear that the bike is going to ever leave me stranded. So it's practically everything about the bike I love. The fuel economy, the cost, the reliability, the maintenance intervals. I love everything about it. The power, the torque is perfectly fine for what it is. It really only the two gripes were, like I said, the weight and the OEM suspension, depending on how you plan on riding the bike. Everything else about the bike I absolutely love. What I would change with the bike, if it was my choice, I would obviously change the weight. I would try to get the thing around to the 270 mark for a Dualsport. Even 280 would be good. I would definitely improve the OEM tires. You know, most bikes, from what I hear, I mean, even when you're buying a $10, $12, $15,000 bike, the OEM tires on them can suck and you want to swap them out right away. So that's what I hear. We're not going to get into a discussion of those bikes, but I just want to say, but I try to explain to you why those gripes are what they are, or at least I'm trying to explain to you. But as far as the likes go with the bike, I mean, it's just everything about the bike I like. I like everything about it. I want to get into a recap for you guys right now, and I want to give you guys a recap of what I have done to my 250L. And I want to let this be known that I have not done anything to my 250L that pertains to performance. Flat out, I do have a different pipe. I've got a Dan Moto Carbon GP, and I bought that on you know, just a spur of the moment thing. I saw it online, saw how dirt cheap it was, and I thought to myself, wow, I wonder how many other people have seen this exhaust and wondered why it is so cheap and why shouldn't I buy it, because the reviews on it are absolutely amazing. So I bought it, but I don't have a fuel tuner and I don't have a header on it. I've got the OEM, you know, stock OEM header with the Dan Moto Carbon GP exhaust. I don't claim to that to give me any performance, so I just want to get that straight. I don't have anything on the bike that does anything performance-wise. The number one thing that I have on the bike that actually gained what you would say lower end torque, things of that nature for off-road, is the 13 tooth front sprocket. That is all that I've changed on the bike gearing wise. Absolutely love it. I'm going to get more in depth with that here in a minute. To start things off, I have the IMS 3.5 gallon tank. Love the tank. Fuel mileage is amazing. I could ride the bike for probably a week straight off-road, because when you ride off-road, it's hard to cover 60 to 100 miles. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is when you're off-road only. I could probably ride at Hatfield McCoy for 3 full days and not have to fill my tank back up. I personally don't like to ride my bike off-road with a full 3.5 gallon tank of gas, because I know it's overkill for my daily rides. All it does is adds more weight. I usually ride with a half a tank of gas. So that's the first mod that I've done. IMS 3.5 gallon tank. So the second mod, obviously I threw a gold chain on it. Pretty simple, you know, nothing crazy about that. 13 tooth front sprocket. I have tried a CRF250L rally with a 13 tooth front and a 44 in the rear. It was a 1342, and I did not like it. There is a lot of controversy about that. I did not like it. I thought that first gear was non-existent off-road. The bike is heavier than the 250L. Maybe that came into play. Other than that, everything about the bike is exactly the same. Same motor, same transmission, same everything. So I didn't like it. I'm loving the 13 tooth only. Next thing is, obviously, I have a Seat Concept seat. Love the seat. If you guys are looking into them, I have the Seat Concept's tall seat, so it makes the bike's seat height much higher, but it's super, super comfortable. I tried a Seat Concepts low cut seat. My buddy had one on his rally. I'm going to honestly tell you right now, it was horrible. The thing was absolute garbage. Only get the low cut seat if you're a very short individual and you can't barely tiptoe 1 foot on the bike with your butt hanging off entirely, because that seat is absolute garbage. Seat Concepts low cut seat is only for super short riders. Plant your feet, has nothing to do with comfort. Bear that in mind, because don't order it thinking it's comfortable and it lowers the seat, because it doesn't. It's like riding on a brick. Then I have the Wilbur rear shock. Phenomenal. I don't want to go in depth about it, but it's absolutely amazing. I'm light years ahead of the OEM shock, fully adjustable in the fly. It's phenomenal. I have it as stiff as it'll possibly go right now, and I love it. You know, what more is there to say about it? I have a D606 front tire. Love that front tire. When that front tire gets completely eaten up, I'm going to replace it with a Tusk D-Sport front. The D-Sport is phenomenal. I love it. Can't say enough good things about it. Supposedly it rivals the D606, and a lot of people say that they like the Tusk D-Sport over the D606. When I was originally reading up on them, that's what made me go with the Tusk D-Sport in the rear, and they weren't kidding, man. It's amazing. I have Fastway Evo foot pegs. Awesome. Way more stability because of it being such a wider foot peg. So the next item on my list is going to be my Danmoto Carbon GP. And as I said, I got it on just a spur of the moment deal. Saw it, liked it. Honestly got it just to test it out, check it out for you guys, see if it was something I would recommend. I would definitely recommend it. I did custom fabricate a spark arrestor in it so I can ride it. Some of the forestry places that I ride, some of the parks and everything, and you have to have spark arrestors, and if you get busted without one, they'll boot you off site, fine you, whatever. I just wanted to be in compliance. So I did put a spark arrestor in there, and I cannot recommend that exhaust enough. It's pretty awesome for the price of it is. I paid less than $100 shipped at my door. I got it on sale on a deal. You can't complain there. And it's less than 2 pounds in total weight, so you save a lot of weight per the OEM. My next thing is going to be Oxford heated grips. Love them. If you're thinking about getting them, or where you live is cold and you want something like that, get them. They're absolutely amazing. I'm going to be putting mine back on the bike here very soon because winter is upon us. Tusk D-Sport rear tire. Like I said before, can't say enough good things about it. If you want a cheap tire, I think I paid less than $60 for that rear. It was $50 some. And I think the front is like $48. So you can get a pair, front and rear Tusk D-Sports for $100, opposed to one D606 that's like $110 a piece. Think about it there. Tusk bars. I had Tusk bars on my bike. If you guys saw some of my previous videos, they got severely mangled. They were mangled so badly. The throttle side was bent up so badly, it was actually pulling on my throttle cables when I tried to turn. It was pretty dangerous. I don't recommend them. I think they were like $30. They might have. I think they were $29.99. I don't recommend them. Not at all. Don't get them unless you're putting them on like a little CR80. Don't put them on a full-size heavy bike like the 250L. Not worth it. Race Tech front kit. Just like the Wilburs, I'm not going to go in depth about it. World of difference on the bike, depending on the riding you're doing. If you're doing jumps and you're doing hard terrain, hard trails, rocky terrain, logs and things like that, highly worth it. Then I got a Cyclops LED in the headlight. Love the thing. It's awesome. They're expensive, like $80-$90, but they're worth it because the visibility you get at nighttime is phenomenal. I mean, it lights the road up, lights the back roads up. A lot of back roads around me don't have street lights, so they're pitch black at nighttime when the sun goes down. It lights it up. It's amazing. I love it. Rim locks, front and rear. 250L comes with the rim caps for where the rim locks go. I put Tusk rim locks in. They were dirt cheap. Love them. They're awesome. You got to have them because when I ride and it's super muddy, I ride sub 12 PSI, more so around like the 10 PSI with the rim locks, and I'm on tubes. You got to have them when you're running that low, unless you want your tire to spin on the rim and rip your valve stem off, and then you're going to be stuck with a flat. You have to have rim locks. Then I have the Acerbi skid plate. I did a whole video review of showing you how to install the Acerbi skid plate. The thing is awesome. It's not metal. It's a really thick plastic. I don't know exactly what kind of plastic it is, but it's a super, super thick, heavy-duty plastic. The thing makes no noise, no pinging on the motor, no echoing of the motor, no vibration sounds, nothing like that. When I bought it, it was less than $70. It was 60 some bucks from Revzilla. I don't think Rocky Mountain sells it yet. And then the last thing that I did on the bike was I removed the coal canister. That was it right there. I have a video on that as well on my channel if you guys want to know how to remove your charcoal canister, your evap canister. It's another way to call it. I removed mine entirely, all the hoses. I capped everything off, and then I also show you how to pin out the plug so you don't throw a check engine light. Super, super simple to do. Now, that is literally it for my upgrades. As far as what I want to do to the bike, I need to get bark busters back on it. Obviously, that's a must. I'm going to put my Oxford heated grips back on it. But as far as really anything else goes with the bike, I mean, there's not really anything else that I really want to do to the bike. So I guess it really boils down to how fun is the 250L. It's as fun as any other bike, you know, if not more fun, because a lot of other bikes that I've had in the past, I was constantly having to fix things on. So this bike, you don't have to do any of that with. You ride it. Just maintain it. It's gonna outlive any bike you've ever had. I guarantee that. So, and I guarantee you that your 250L is gonna require a lot less maintenance than any other bike you've ever owned. Trust me, I know, I've been there. As far as pricing goes for everything that I've put into the bike, I don't have an exact number for you. And I can't give you an exact number because pricing on everything changes. So it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, it's gonna change. If you guys want, you can go through all the links that I post up in the description for you, and you can price, check it all and get a price there for you. But as far as pricing goes, it's not a lot of money. So not a lot of money at all. And you don't have to do everything that I did because most of the stuff that I did is personal preference. With all that said though, without further ado, let's get into the ride section of the video, guys. See you on the bike.
Look at that. 1023 is what we're at right now, guys. So the last video that I showed you, we were at 10,000 even flat. And then from that ride, obviously, we picked some mileage up, so on and so forth. I just want to give a big shout out to each and every one of you guys. Every single one of you as my viewers, as my subscribers. I can't believe how high the channel has grown, how many subscribers I've gotten in the short amount of time that I've had this channel open. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to each and every one of you guys. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Winter is upon us. It's not actually winter yet. It's still fall, but very soon, winter's right around the corner. We got Thanksgiving, and we got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which I'm stoked for. I love Cyber Monday every year. Hopefully we got some good deals this year, guys. Oh, this thing's dripping on me. I put way more miles on this thing off-road, so I can give everybody and anybody a real life review of the 250L off-road, because that's where most of the complaints come from. Most people talk about the 250L not being capable off-road. You know, oh, it's only for fire roads, things of that nature. Fire roads are great, very relaxing. I love all forms of riding. To me, a fire road is not off-road riding, really. It's called a fire road for a reason. It's still a road. You know, when you get into double track, you get into single track, things like that, that is off-road riding to me. No offense to anybody who only rides fire roads, you know, I love riding fire roads as well, but I don't consider that off-road. This section's always really slippery. Already covered in water, so we're just gonna hit the puddles. Already got mud all over the bike, just to be expected here with our way that our trails and stuff are here. I didn't expect them to be dry. Tell you what though, this weather, guys, is the time to ride. That's that extra slick stuff. It stays underneath the leaves. Yeah, no, I see 100%, brother. There we go. Gotta try to not snag our microphone on these branches, because these are what? Not sure why he tried to turn there. Oh, he didn't want to turn there. The bike turned on him. Jeez. Because mine did the same thing. Whoa. Alrighty. I like hitting that spot now. It's fun. I don't know what I hit there. Caught a root or something. Uphill. Caused me to not make it up that. Pretty slick at the base though. Really, really slick. My clutch lever is screwing me up, so it's bent really bad. And I'll show it to you guys in a little bit, but it's bent pretty bad. So I gotta like reach really far out to grab it. I bent it back some. I guess I broke two. I thought I had another spare, but I guess I broke two of them. I cannot recommend these D-Sports enough, guys. Oh my goodness. They're just monsters in the dirt. Look at little. Ooh, he's taking us through the swamp. Oh, I'm in second gear. Second gear. Not what I wanted to be in. I should have shifted down. Let's see, we're at 5%. It's time to battery change, guys. All right, let's fire this puppy up. Oh yeah, so that is my bent lever, as you guys can see. Look how bent that is right now. See how far away that is? You know, so when I'm grabbing that, look how far out I gotta grab. But at least it doesn't smash my last two fingers that I keep on the bar. Whoa! I need to restart this section. I don't ever go through there. T does. Oh, you always go through that. Whoa! Sideways a little there. But as long as you keep your bike moving and your momentum up, you'll be able to overcome it.
But I spooked up a deer when I came out the other side. It just stood there and looked at me like,
Hey man, that's where I'm supposed to be sleeping.
are you threatening me?
Are you threatening me? Look how easy this thing comes up, guys. It's not clutching up. That's in second gear too. That's first gear.
Tire in the front suspension, you've made it a whole lot easier to do wheelies.
Stay to the far left. Nah, he didn't bottom out. See that far left side? I told you. You guys think I can hit right here? No! I tried, but it didn't happen. There's nowhere to grab it all. Oh, that's loose. Oh, that's loose. Well, I guess that means I got to go over the whole bike just to make sure all my... We're just going to yank it. We're just going to lift up one and pull and hope. I'm going to lift... Jeez. To try to hit there. A really stupid idea. Alrighty. Stupidest idea of the day. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Because it's not. And I don't think my lever's even bent anymore. But you know what's funny, guys? This rear, that is loose. I can't hear you, dude. You sound like you're underwater. I still can't hear you, bro. I can't hear you. I'm going to the creek bed. It's funny because I crashed too. I'll be over there. Go straight. Go straight onto it.
I did that.
Try to do that.
The other week I crashed. I did the same thing.
How did you not feel that, bro?
I felt it.
That's a slick hill. If you put your boot in the middle of that hill, it's really slippery. It's all good. That's what it's all about, guys, trying new stuff. Yeah.